Audio recording has started.
Hi, I'm Melissa. Welcome to this Android video. In this video, I'm going to talk about global and local context menus. I am also going to talk about seat controls as well as talkback keyboard commands and how you can customize your settings to get the most out of your keyboard commands. So let's go ahead and get started. As you navigate using TalkBack, two context menus are available to help you find settings and controls. The global context menu has commands that are available anywhere, and the local context menu varies depending on which item you're focused on. Context menus can appear either as circles or in lists, and you can set this preference in your TalkBack settings, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So the first thing you need to do is go to your home screen, and you do this by swiping up and then left, or by pressing Alt right arrow on the keyboard. Then in your home screen, you need to locate your apps icon, so you can navigate to that by swiping from left to right across the screen, or you can press Alt right arrow on your keyboard to navigate to that. And to open it, you would hold your finger on the apps icon and double tap or press Alt Enter. Once you're in your apps icon, you need to navigate to your settings. And you would do this the same way by swiping from left to right across the screen or by pressing Alt right arrow. Then you would hold your finger and double tap to open your settings or press Alt Enter. In your settings category, you need to navigate to accessibility, and then you would go ahead and open that. And then in accessibility, you need to navigate to TalkBack settings and open that. And then you need to navigate to touch exploration settings and double tap to select that option. Then you have an option to show your context menus as lists or as circles, and you can choose whichever option you would like. When the menus are shaped like circles, you drag your finger in a circular motion to hear the different options that are available. When the menus are displayed in lists, you drag your finger up and down on the list to hear the different options. To use the global context menu, follow these steps. Swipe down, then right to open the global context menu, or on your keyboard, you would press Control Alt Shift Spacebar. Then drag your finger over the menu to hear the menu items. And again, this will vary depending on if you have your menu in a list, you would drag your finger up and down. If your menu is in a circle, then you would drag it in a circular motion. When you hear the item that you would like to select, just simply lift up your finger and that item will be selected. The following options are available when you open the global context menu. Read from top. You'll hear all the items on your screen read in order starting from the top. You can read from the next item. So the talkback will start with the last focused item and it will continue reading the items down the screen until it reaches the end. You can repeat last utterance so you can hear the last verbalization or the last thing spoken in talkback. You can have the last thing spelled that was spoken, so that would be the spell last utterance. You can copy last utterance to clipboard, so you can copy the last thing that was spoken to your clipboard and then paste it into another app. You can pause feedback, and this temporarily pauses talkback. If you set context menus to appear in circles, this option would be on the outside of your circle in the top left corner of your screen. Talkback resumes when the screen turns on or when you unlock your screen. The next option in your global context menu is talkback settings. If you select this option, then your talkback settings will be opened. If you've set your context menus to circles, this option is on the outside of the circle on the top right corner of your screen. The next option is your text-to-speech settings, and you would select this option to decide what you would like to hear spoken when you are typing, whether you would like to hear words or just characters, or you can just have silence where you don't hear anything echoed while you type. If you've set your context menus to circles, then this option will be in the bottom right hand corner of your screen outside the circle. You can also dim your screen, and this reduces the brightness of your screen, and so it saves on battery, and this is a good option. The next thing we're going to discuss is the local context menu. The local context menu contains controls that relate to your focused item. So depending on which item you're focused on, these menu options will change. And if there are no items, then talkback will say no menu items. To use the local context menu, you need to swipe up, then right. Or with your keyboard, you would press Control Alt Spacebar, and that will open your local context menu. You would drag your finger over the menu to hear the menu items. Again, this would be if you have your menu set to a list view. If you have it set in a circular pattern, then you would move your finger in a circular motion to hear the different items that are available. Then you would double tap to select the one that you would like, or release your finger. When you hear the item that you'd like to select, either double tap or release your finger. When you open the local context menu, the menu provides options that, like I said, relate to your focused item. So here is an example of some of the options that might be available depending on what your focus is on. You could have navigation options like characters, words, paragraphs, list navigation, control navigation, lines, and this would be like if you're in a document or a web page and you are reading or editing text, you would use these options. You also have a cursor control menu. So when you're editing text, you'll have cursor options like move cursor to beginning, move cursor to end. You would also have like copy and paste options here. And to move the cursor while you're in an edit field, you would press the volume keys. So the up volume key would move your cursor to the next character, and the down volume key would move your cursor to the previous character. The next things you might have are links menu, and this could be in a web page or it could be on the internet. And you would select this option again by lifting your finger up, and this will display either all your links on your web page or all the links that are displayed in your text document. The next thing that you could have is label controls. Now, this is an area in TalkBack where there could be a lot of improvement, in my opinion. I come across a lot of unlabeled buttons and items in TalkBack, and if you know what the item is or the graphic or image, you can label it here, and then in the future you won't have that problem. But again, if you don't know what the item is and you don't have a sighted person to assist you, then you're kind of taking a guess when you hit that unlabeled button. And Google could really improve this a lot. I find this frustrating. I've even found unlabeled buttons in Google apps that came on my device, such as my camera app, my Facebook app, YouTube app. So they really need to work on improving this problem. You can also edit a seek control, and this would be like your volume or your video feedback, and I'm going to talk about seek controls here next. So as I said, seek controls are like your volume buttons, or if you're in a video and you want to control, like do some video editing, you could use seek controls. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how to use seek controls. I was just looking here, and some of these steps only work on Android version 7 and up. So if you don't have the current version, you need to update to it. To adjust a seat control, such as volume or video playback. Navigate to the seat control by swiping from left to right or exploring the screen by touch. Choose one of the methods below to adjust the value of the seat control. You could press the volume up or down button. In starting in Android 7.0, the volume button will turn up and down your volume. You could also navigate to the edit field, and you could enter a number value at which you would like the control to be displayed. So you would open the local context menu by swiping up then right. Then you would select Edit Seat Control Level. In the text field, you would delete the current value and enter a number from 0 to 100. And then you would navigate to the OK button and double tap to activate it. And the seat control will be the value that you set. Now we're going to talk about your talkback keyboard commands. And I've discussed some of these, and I'm going to first tell you how you can set up your and choose which keyboard you'd like to use. You can use keyboard shortcuts with TalkBack. The first thing you need to do is set up your device and keyboard. So I'm going to
review cancel button.
I'm going to
press Alt plus Enter
give
to activate.
you the steps to do that. To use the keyboard shortcuts, you need a device running Android 4.0 or later. And of course, you need a keyboard that you connect to your Android device, so a Bluetooth keyboard. TalkBack offers 2 sets of keyboard shortcuts. So you have your default key map, which gives you a lot more options for keyboard commands, and then you have your classic key map, and it gives you less options for keyboard commands. Most devices are set to the default, but some are not. I'm going to tell you how to change your keyboard shortcut settings, just in case you would like to switch it from either default to classic or classic back to default. To switch between the default and classic key maps, Open your Android device settings. Then you need to go to the accessibility category. And then you need to go to talkback. And then you need to go to settings. And then you need to go to manage keyboard shortcuts. Under key map, you would select either your classic key map, and these would be your basic shortcuts, or your default key map, and these would be your more shortcuts, including shortcuts for navigating web pages. So these would be your more advanced shortcuts. Personally, I prefer the default method because I like to use my keyboard a lot for different things. So I'm going to give you the shortcuts, your keyboard shortcuts. So the first one I'm going to do is your default key map commands, and then I will go to the classic commands and give those to you as well. So you might want to get something to write these down because there's a whole bunch of them. If you do happen to forget what these are, you can go to the Android accessibility help, and under talkback you can find the list of keyboard commands. So here we go with the default key map commands, and these use the Alt key for the modifier key. Move to next item is Alt right arrow. Move to previous item would be pressing Alt left arrow. Move to item above would be Alt up arrow. Move to item below would be Alt down arrow. Move to first item would be Alt Control left arrow. Move to the last item would be Alt Shift Control right arrow. You can click the focused element, and remember this is the same as doing a double tap on your screen, and you do this by pressing Alt Enter. Long press the focused element would be Alt Shift Enter. You can read from top by pressing Alt Control Enter. You can read from next item by pressing Alt Control Shift Enter. Navigate to the next or previous window would be Alt Control up or down arrow, and if you're in a split screen view and you have more than one app open, this will navigate you in between the two apps. Otherwise, it will navigate you between the status bar and the navigation bar and the screen. Now I'm going to give you your global commands, and these are the commands for your global context menu that I talked about a few minutes ago. You can press Alt Control Backspace to go back an element or link. Alt Control H will take you to your home screen. Recent app or app overview would be Alt Control R. Notifications would bring up your notifications shade, and this is Alt Control N. You can search the screen by pressing Alt Control /. You can open global context menu by pressing Alt spacebar. Open local context menu by pressing Alt Shift spacebar. Pause or resume talkback, Alt Control Z. Open list of actions, Alt Control Space. Here are your text navigation commands.
Review cancel button. Press Alt plus Enter to activate.
Move to next word, Alt Control Shift right arrow. To move to the previous word, you do Alt Control Shift left arrow. Move to the next character would be Alt Shift right arrow. Move to the previous character would be Alt Shift left arrow. Now here are your Chrome web page navigation commands, and I did go over these in the video where I talked about browsing with Chrome, but I am going to go ahead and review them again here just in case you didn't see that one. You can use these shortcuts to move to the next or previous element on the web page. Alt plus B will move you to the next button. Alt Shift B will move you to the previous button, so the previous ones all have a shift in them, and that's a good way to remember. To move to the next control, it would be Alt plus C. And to move to the previous control would be Alt Shift C. Area landmark. To move to the next area landmark, you would press Alt D. To move to the previous area landmark, you would press Alt Shift D. To move to the next editable field, it would be Alt E. To move to the previous edit field would be Alt Shift E. The next thing would be focusable item. Alt plus F will move you to the next focusable item. And Alt Shift F will move you to the previous focusable item. Then you have your graphics. To move to the next graphic is Alt G. To move to the previous graphic is Alt Shift G, of course. Then you have your headings. To move to your next heading, you would press Alt H. To move to your previous heading, it would be Alt Shift H. So then you have your heading levels. And these go from number 1 to number 6. So to move to your next heading, you would do Alt and then number 1 through number 6, depending on which heading level you would like to go to. So Alt number 3 would take you to the 3rd heading level. Or the previous, you could do the same thing. You would do number 2, Alt plus 2 would take you to the previous heading of number 2, heading 2. Then you have your lists. Alt plus O will take you to the next. Alt Shift O will take you to your previous list. And then you have list item. Your next list item would be Alt I. Your previous would be Alt Shift I. Then you have your links. Your next link would be Alt L.
3112.
Your previous link would be Alt Shift L. Then you have your tables. Your next table would be Alt T. Your previous table would be Alt Shift T. Then you have your checkboxes. Your next checkbox would be Alt X. Your previous checkbox would be Alt Shift X. Then you have your combo boxes. Alt plus Z will bring up your next combo box. Alt Shift Z will bring up your previous combo box. Okay, and so those are your default key map commands. Now we are going to give you your, I'll give you your classic key map commands, and some of these are the same, but as you'll see, there are not nearly as many classic key map commands as there are default key map commands. Alt Shift right arrow will move you to the next item. Alt Shift left arrow will move you to your previous item. Alt Shift up arrow will move you to your first item. Move to your last item will be Alt Shift down arrow. Alt Shift Enter will click your focused element. So a lot of these commands are the same as your default key map commands, except for the Shift key. Here's your global actions. Alt Shift backspace. To go to the home screen would be Alt Shift H. Recent apps or app overview would be Alt Shift R. Notifications would be Alt Shift N. Search the screen would be Alt Shift /. Alt Shift equals will take you to your next navigation setting. Previous navigation setting would be Alt Shift minus. Open global context menu would be Alt Shift G. Open local context menu would be Alt Shift L. Stop the talkback speech. You just press and hold down the Control key for about a second. Pause or resume talkback is Alt-Shift-Z. So these are your keyboard commands if you choose to use the classic key map. And again, you'll notice you don't have the web page navigation commands in this key map like you do in the default key map for Chrome. Now we're going to talk about setting up Android and TalkBack. You can adjust your Android device so that you can use it according to your preference. And I'm going to describe different settings that allow you to
Unlabeled button. Press Alt plus Enter to activate.
customize TalkBack to run the way you would like it to. So here we go with these. You can change common settings in quick settings. The quick settings panel contains some common settings. So in your quick settings, you have some common settings such as your Bluetooth, your airplane mode, and your volume. When your device is locked, swipe down with 2 fingers from the top of your screen to unlock your device. When your device is unlocked, 2 fingers swipe down from the top of your screen, then 2 fingers swipe up, and this will open your quick settings. You can also change all your settings in the Settings app. There are several ways to open the Settings app. On the home screen, you could explore by touch to find the app's icon, and then you could double tap it to open the app's icon, and then you could navigate to the Settings app by exploring by touch or by swiping from left to right across the screen. And then you would go ahead and double tap to open it. All the apps on your device will normally be listed in alphabetical order. If you've turned on OK Google on your device, you can use your voice to open settings. You just say OK Google, and then it will open the settings. In the quick settings panel, you can explore by touch. to find the settings button and then double tap to open it. Now I'm going to talk about adjusting your accessibility settings. The following settings can make your experience more customizable using TalkBack. Open your device's settings app. Then you would open the accessibility category by double tapping on that. Then you would find auto rotate screen and turn it off. Now, I highly recommend that you do this, that you turn off your screen rotation, because if you don't, your screen is going to be rotating between your landscape and
41,
your
14.
portrait mode, and every time you move or there's any motion in the screen, in your tablet, if you're moving it around or whatever, in the screen reader will not function very well if it's constantly flipping between landscape and portrait. So if you turn off the rotation, your screen will stay in either portrait or landscape mode, depending on which way you have your screen turned. If your device is up and down with the home button on the bottom, then it would be in portrait mode. If your device is turned to the side, then it would be in a landscape mode. The next setting that I'm going to talk about in this menu would be power button ends call. And if you have a smartphone, this is a great setting, as I talked about in my video where I explained how to end a call, because it allows you to just simply press the power button down for about a half a second to end a call. And then the next option in your accessibility settings is adjust your keyboard settings. And we just talked about this, how you can choose your default or classic key map. The next option in this settings menu in your accessibility would be to adjust your TalkBack settings. To open your TalkBack settings, you would navigate to your settings app and you would double tap to open that. Then you would open accessibility. Then you would open TalkBack. Then you would open settings. Then you could review and update the settings. TalkBack has a setting that allows you to control the reading by shaking your device. To change this setting in TalkBack settings, turn on shake to start continuous reading. You can choose among several different levels: a light, medium, hard, or very hard. So depending on what you set this at, you would shake your device and it would start reading. Another way to read continuously, which is what I prefer to do, would be to open the global context menu by swiping from left to right. Then you could select from read from next item or read from top. But you can try the shaking if you would like. You can change the talkback volume. Android has different volume levels for different audio sources. To change the volume in media playback, place your finger on the screen and press the volume button up or down. And this will be for, like, if you're watching a movie or listening to music.
Review cancel
and
button.
You don't want to hear
Press Alt plus
talkback
enter to activate.
playing or really loud, then you could adjust this here. You can change the ear plug volume. So if you're wearing headphones, you can change this with the sound volume setting. If the volume of the earplugs is too loud, you can set the talkback volume to media volume. Or this audio ducking, you can focus speech audio. To avoid drowning out talkback speech with other sources such as music or videos, you can turn on this setting in talkback settings.
$47.57.
So here are some of the basic settings that I've given you to really customize your device and to hopefully make it easier for you to use, and you can choose your preferences on these settings. So this ends our series on the TalkBack screen reader. There will be a few other Android videos that I will probably do with voice access, but I hope that these TalkBack videos have been helpful to you and that you will be able to learn how to use this Android system. The best way I think to do this is to just explore and get a feeling for it, and I've tried to hopefully go slow enough through these steps that I hope you can use your Android device to access this information and use it. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching these videos. I've certainly enjoyed producing them, and thank you.
Review cancel button. Shutter button. Press Alt.